Hey, welcome to the I Am Podcast, where we answer all the questions about spirituality and inner peace you ever wanted to ask, and where we learn the secrets of humanity and divinity through a better understanding of both. I am your host, Sean Webb. Okay, so if I were to show you my desk right now, I would be very embarrassed. It is a mess. You're looking over the mess to me, which arguably could be said I'm a mess as well, but it's usually not this bad. We're getting ready to move into a new house, and so the house is going to be a mess for the next 2 weeks at least as we prepare for that move. We got a great house in a very nice neighborhood that has a very short backyard that I won't have to mow, and then steps up a hill. Over the hill is there's 2-acre park that I don't have to mow, and right inside the park is a basketball net for Declan and I to play with because we love basketball. He's 2. And then there's a little playground about 20 yards to the right of that, which we can see from our second story window as he gets older and goes out there to play by himself. So a very cool place to be. We're very thankful that we found the place. And but anyway, this place is going to be a mess. Not on topic of what I wanted to talk to you about. Although it is, because my mind has been a mess lately, because I've been thinking a lot about the mix of science and spirituality. Now, yesterday I got off the phone with another emotions expert and expert in effective computing at MIT, and we were reviewing some of the science and the model behind the catalysis of emotions that I'm presenting. And so now he's convinced me that I need to write a book, and especially some technical papers for peer review, because he's been in this field for 50 years and says there's some merit, etc. But it got me thinking about the crossroads between science and spirituality, because I came to this scientific model of how pain and suffering comes into being and how emotions work through spiritual experience and through spiritual epiphany. And the scientific model is coming full circle to be able to show us, from a scientific perspective, if you can get this scientific process of emotional creation under control, you come into a greater place of spiritual peace, of inner peace, of a calmed mind, of an absence of pain and suffering. And so I was looking in the mirror this morning, and because I have to check my hair, and I was thinking, I'm looking at this person in the mirror, and I'm seeing solid stuff. I'm seeing substance. But in reality, science tells us, and has proven, this guy right here, 99.9999% space. There's nothing here. You're looking at absolutely nothing. And the rest is energy. It's not even mass. It has mass, but it doesn't have, which is a measurement of force, by the way. It doesn't have any real substance. It doesn't have any real particles. The thing that we think of as particles are nothing but squiggles of energy that exist. And, if you're measuring where they are, you can only measure where they are. If you're measuring how fast they're going or their trajectory, where they're going, you can only measure that. You can't measure both at the same time. And what you're looking for influences what you see, which is crazy. Quantum physics, which Einstein called spooky actions at a distance, that stuff is what makes up us as well. And so when we're talking about science and, all the things that are out in the universe, etc., we are made from the material that used to be in the stars. And that's the only place that stuff exists. And we are made of the same rules that the folks are using to explain how everything can be connected, and how quantum mechanics and quantum entanglement can explain how one particle that used to be next to another particle, their spins are correlated, and when they separate across infinite distances, this change in one particle affects the change in the other particle immediately, instantaneously, without any effect of time whatsoever across infinite distances, which from a Newtonian physics perspective is not possible, but from a quantum physics is entirely possible and it is proven. In fact, I hope to get one of the guys who proved quantum entanglement on the podcast so we can talk. But as I'm looking in the mirror, I'm seeing solid. I'm seeing substance. But in reality, I know, and it's scientifically proven, that I'm just energy. And the same goes for you. You are just energy. Now, what component or gathering of energy do you know that has not been affected by other energies around it? And when you're talking about spooky actions at a distance type of science, how are you being affected by things in the universe, and how are you affecting things in the universe? Because the reality is, science, and this just isn't woo-woo spirituality stuff, and by the way, stay away from those people who don't fully understand science and Newtonian physics versus quantum physics, because they're just talking out of their ass and they don't really understand what they're talking about, and they'd like to use scientific terms to say, oh, well, quantum physics proves, spirituality. The reality is, there is some science that can prove some spooky action at a distance stuff, and that does include your existence and scientific phenomena that can be considered what we determine to be spiritual, or what we have classified as spiritual. Are you considering that in your everyday existence? Are you tuning into that in your everyday existence? Are you opening your mind up into the accepting field that invites in the reality that you're not even there? That there's nothing but a grouping of energy that exists, and you're in control of that energy so as to affect the universe in a positive way. Because I think the reality is, if we're not conscious to that fact, we wind up affecting the universe in a negative way. We wind up affecting other people in a negative way. We wind up affecting our environment in a negative way. And we're not conscious that we're part of the whole thing. And that we are one with everything. We're one piece of everything. And so I just want to leave you with that thought today, that from a scientific perspective, you are much more than you think you are by being much less than you think you are, because there's nothing here. There's nothing there. You're nothing. You're 99.9999% space, and the rest is energy. But that's much more than you have thought previously. And it's much more than you see when you look in the mirror. And so remember that, and remember how your energy can positively affect not just those around you, but thanks to the reality of quantum physics, the rest of the universe. Because over a number of billion of years that the universe has existed, and by the way, that doesn't discount that God isn't, a God or an ultimate intelligence isn't constantly creating and recreating our existence continually. I don't mean to denigrate religious understanding, but at the same time, looking back 6,000 years, it could be a misinterpretation that, God is forever active and God is the reason for evolution. Whew, crazy. So over those number of billions of years, what's the likelihood that some of your energy has interacted with other energies all throughout the universe, and you're entangled all over everywhere, and you're affecting everywhere with stuff that you think and do? because it was Bruce Lipton in his book, The Wisdom of Your Cells, that proved that our environment creates our existence. And our environment changes our bodies, our environment changes our attitudes, our environment, including the environment that we create with our conscious thought and our unconscious thought, that creates health within ourselves and our cells, cells, and it can actually create a higher level of health in our bodies simply by changing our thoughts and our mind and our environment. And the environment around the cells is created partially through thought and through diet and the other things that we interact with. And that changes our very existence. Now, if you'd like to get his book, he has 2 books. The first one that he put out, don't bother with, because basically he covers everything that he covered in his first book in The Wisdom of Your Cells. But go get The Wisdom of Your Cells. You can get it at Audible for free, audible.com. If you already haven't signed up, sign up. I'm a 4-year member, and I love them. I get 2 books a month from these guys. You can go to, you can get a free book offer through us, audibletrial.com/IamSpirituality, and pick up your free book. You can try it out. You can cancel it if you want. You probably hopefully wind up not, because the books only cost you about $10 a month. But in this book, The Wisdom of Your Cells, he explains how, as a biologist, his experimentation led him to the proof that we're not simply a product of our DNA and our genes, that our genes can be turned on and off through environment and perception of the cells, and perception of the cells can be augmented through conscious and unconscious thought, as well as diet and other factors. And so when you're thinking about you help create you, and you help create your reality. And so go pick up The Wisdom of Your Cells by Bruce Lipton, because he proved this stuff scientifically. And a lot of people aren't ready for it yet, which is understandable. They have attachments to their old school thinking. And usually the free thinkers of the world are dead well before their ideas are accepted as common knowledge. But you can be ahead of the curve if you go get this book, The Wisdom of Your Cells by Bruce Lipton, because it's an awesome reference to scientific proof of how a lot of this woo-woo stuff that people like to disregard, actually science. And so, sorry for the little ramble, but that was my thought regarding the crossroad between science and spirituality. More cool stuff next week. Hopefully I'll be able to get an episode out every week, even through the move. We'll see. I love you guys. Yes, I'm going to release episodes 15 and forward back onto YouTube and back onto the podcast. A lot of you have requested those. I hear you. Sorry that I'm not able to get back to some of you on email as quickly as I had wished, but I will release those. And until next week, I love you. Have a good week. Talk to you soon.